Journey. Welcome to CO 300 week 8. I'm going to share the screen. We have two goals today. The first I want to make sure we have enough time for is to help you think about what your research topic might be. So we are looking at research as a method of inquiry and finding a research topic that you're genuinely interested in. I am going to rail a little bit like I did last class period against the public educational system in America. We are kind of, our sense of curiosity and self-directed education, where we decide what we want to learn about, and then teachers actually help us learn about the things we want to learn about, which I feel like would be a way more effective way to teach kids. We can't do that based on the industrial model that we have for education. So it just is too messy to have 20 kids pursuing different educations. But I think that would be way better, honestly, to teach ourselves. So our goal here, basically we have two goals here. One is to help brainstorm and collectively brainstorm on potential avenues of research that people are doing or thinking about in order to kind of see what could be possible or what you could do. I'm going to give you some other options to think about that. And then I do want to look at critical information. So this is number one. We're thinking about our research topic. Number two, we are looking to at critical information literacy, which is a certain kind of literacy. Literacy, of course, means your ability to read or write. This is our ability to read information from a critical lens, i.e., understanding how that information was constructed, who has an incentive to make that information the way that it is, and basically just be a little bit more understanding about how crazy it is to get information on the internet in 2020. Did we see The Social Dilemma, and about how, like, I know I recommended it before, I'm not sure if we watched that, about how certain...
I watched it. It was fantastic. Is that the one about social media
yes.
on Netflix? That was phenomenal.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's really,
so
really important. Mainly for me to really understand how much these companies are profiting off of my attention, and that they make more money the more I give them my attention. And I just want to be like, my attention is this is how I win in life. And maybe TikTok is part of that. And if I'm using my TikTok attention to understand educational strategies to trade stocks better, I don't know, I digress. Point being, the other thing that's interesting about that film is that we have seen a rise in polarization and misinformation that we are sharing, and that the algorithm prioritizes, not intentionally. They just want to prioritize posts that are really engaging. And your open letter to your conservative uncle is really engaging because it pisses people off. And so that gets shared, even though there's a bunch of bad information in there. Whatever. So I do want to spend some time on understanding critical information literacy. But first, I do want to brainstorm and help you define or understand how I hope a research topic is working at this early stage in your research. So this week, the reading notes checkpoint is due on Friday. I had some questions about that. The self-assessment that your reading notes are based on is only worth 5 points, but I'm going to kind of use that. I do want you to think about if you've gotten better at summarizing, synthesizing, outlining, questioning, the big high-level reading skills that we're working on in this class, and to think about your consistency in doing that, and hopefully give yourself a grade that I can easily see when I look at your work. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You can photograph your notes, or if you're doing it if you've been typing them out, that's fine as well. Since that's due Friday, it was actually due last Friday if you remember, but whatever. I'm giving you more time on your initial research topic that's due Sunday. So your initial research topic with peer comments is due Sunday. I hope that we use this model in class today to help your peers think more and offer them more questions or more avenues of research. So you can change topics. You are not locked in to what you come up with on Sunday. If you start reading about it and you decide, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, I'd rather research pygmies in Alaska, I don't know, something else is interesting to you, that's totally fine, you can switch. So that being said, I want to address Bronwyn's concern that the research topic checklist is not available. And if you go to lib.colostate.edu, if you want to follow along on another window on your computer, you may, or you can just watch me do this. But this is our library. Whoa, Rams vote. That's new. This is going to help you research. And right under here, we have research help. We're going to spend more time with this after we get an idea of what we're going to do past the brainstorming phase. So once we know what we're researching, we're going to dive more into this, and we're going to give you a tutorial. You can, so from the main page, if you missed that, right underneath the search bar, there's a research help tab. You can go to that. You can look at help by course, and I'm pretty sure we have one for CO300. Boom, CO300 writing arguments. I'm going to click on that one, and I've gotten this website, libguides.colostate.edu. Throw that in the chat. /CO300. And where is it? Okay, sorry, I thought this was right on the top. I am looking for research topic worksheet. Is this it? I will find this and I'll send it to you. Thanks for letting me know. I wonder if I just go to libraries. Basically, what the research topic worksheet does is has you think about your topic in really big terms and then ask general questions about it, what you already know about it, what you want to know about it, and then generate some search terms for it. Yeah, this isn't going to work. I'll find it and resend it. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is help us find a topic that we feel good about for our research topic proposal. And I wanted to take a look at this anyway. It says instructions, take a look at this library provided research topic worksheet, which I will email you. And which we can actually just look at that. Maybe. And your goal is to find something. So basically, what topic are you thinking about writing about? What questions do you have about that topic? Who cares about your topic? What do you already know about your topic? And then what keywords or search terms might you use to find more information about your topic? So it's really basic, but it's basically like, what are you researching? What are the search terms connected to what you're researching? Who and what groups might be interested in what you're researching? what do you already know? I do actually really like this who, what, when, where, why, and think that's worth noting and just writing down those words at the top of your notes, just to help you think of questions. So let's actually go back to my notes if I can get back there. Yes. Okay, so questions to get us started. One of them is, what's your major? And do you want to research something in your major? A way forward from that is, why did you choose your major? i.e., what about that major interests you? You could also think, so if this is one way this is kind of like, you could go an academic route with this research topic by picking something inside your major that you are interested in or that you would like to learn more about. You might also think about your pre-professional identity in the sense of, what might you want to do? Maybe you don't want a living. Maybe you just want to be a survivalist in the woods of Alaska. I don't know why I'm thinking about Alaska right now. That would be an interesting question. How, and I should, let's put these up here in our notes. Who, what, where, when, how, why. A student before in the previous semester said, you can also put is a good question word. And I'm like, I don't know that is a question word. And he's like, yeah, is this a question word? It's terrible. And you might also think something personal. If you're thinking pre-professional, you're thinking about like plumbing or music marketing or research or something like that, you're thinking about what issues do modern fill in the blank have? What arguments or debates? And thanks to Google, I can just Google music marketing arguments. Or I can Google real estate investing debates. Or I can Google life coach strategies. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of other prompts. You might also, I'm going to call this I want to call this political, but in a broader sense, not like Democrat or Republican, more of a sense of an advocacy campaign. So advocating for some kind of a cause. If you believe that you want to make a change in the world. If you could change something in the world, what would it be? You could wave a magic wand and say, I'm going to change public education. I would like to do that. Then the question is, how should we make that change? So here's just some questions you might think about. What makes you angry? What makes you happy? What are you curious about? What topic could you read about for 4 weeks and not get bored of it? Okay. I want to hear, that's all that I have to give you in terms of thinking about how this might look for you. I'm curious to hear some ideas. If anybody knows what you're already doing, can I hear those? I think, Julian, you were the only one that said. Do you mind sharing what your research is?
Yeah, I guess I haven't really thought of it too specifically or
Great.
at all, besides during our last Zoom meeting. But basically, I said I wanted to do like a psych perspective of human altruism, and the little bit of research that I've seen on that topic is like kind of contrary to popular belief. Like people really care about each other. Um,
Yes.
that we're really motivated to help one another, and that we benefit a lot collectively and also just like individually from helping others. And I guess I just wanted to kind of find more support for each of those ideas and then probably find some other related ideas.
Awesome. So you brought up a couple things that I think is really important. One is that you do not need to know where your research is going. You just need to have a direction that you're interested in. So if you don't know like what your paper is going to be about, that's completely fine. Like ideally, honestly, you would start researching something and then find something interesting that you didn't know was there, and then now you have an idea, like you know what you're going to do like 3 weeks from now. You don't need to know what it is now, so don't let that stop you. It's kind of just like life, like you have no idea like where you're headed, but at least to have a direction you're going in that you're excited about is helpful. Good. Other questions or people having problems choosing?
Something I was thinking when you brought up that book, um, and this is a question for you, but like in terms of our next like reading assignments,
Yeah.
could that be so like could I take that book and use that for my reading assignments and then like build my research off of that?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to do anything I possibly can to help you regain a sense of your own education, self-directed, authentic inquiry. So if you're interested in, that book is about new theories of evolution from a microbiology or whatever, yeah, you get what I'm saying. If you're interested in that and you want to know more about it, you basically, yes, you very much could use that as your reading notes. So the student choice reading notes that are coming up, you would spend about an hour, hour and a half reading and making notes, and that would count as your reading notes. In your reading notes, if more questions come up, like who's doing this research now, where is this happening now, you could use that to further your research.
Okay, cool. And then like off of that, could I like thinking about the big picture like project, could I then use that like say I take that book and then like argue what I think about it? I don't know what that because I obviously don't know what the book is about, but could I do that as my like major project?
Yes. It would be the equivalent of a 6 to 8 page researched argument. So I am looking, the only requirements for your final project is that it has to be rhetorical. I.e., and what does rhetorical mean? If I'm talking about rhetoric, what am I really talking about?
Like persuasive or argumentative?
Yeah, so it's persuasive, seeking to make some change. In your report, you might just think about like your main argument is that everyone should read this book. Or your main argument might be that no one should read this book because whatever, or something like that. So you are looking to make an argument, but I think it helps you to not know what your argument is yet. And it's more interesting to just think about something that is interesting to you. What do you all love to do more than anything besides like drugs? Although actually there could be really interesting research around drugs, depending on the drugs and the uses of them. And I'm sorry to insinuate, I'm just like, what do you love to do? Maybe drugs aren't your thing. Put it in the chat if you don't want to contribute with the audio.
I was going to say, I like to read a lot of sci-fi and I like to read a lot of fantasy novels. I don't really know what I would do with that for this, but I mean, if we just want to get the ball rolling, let's start there.
Thank you, Bryce. Sci-fi and fantasy. Let's get some more.
I like to run.
Let's get some more. This, have you heard of this book, Gabby? Slow Burn. Does anybody know this? This was recommended by Rick Rubin. You guys know Rick Rubin? Rick Rubin is like arguably the greatest rock and roll producer living today. He did all Red Hot Chili Peppers stuff. He did Tom Petty, all of Tom Petty's, not all of Tom Petty's stuff. He did Tom Petty Wildflowers. He did all the Beastie Boys stuff. He was one of the original members of the Beastie Boys. He's a badass. Anyway, he recommended this book, and it's all about endurance training. And I got into this book because I was using it as a way to like think about life. There you go. Move forward in small, manageable increments. This book is amazing. I'm not really into running, but I'm definitely into endurance mindsets because I think life is an endurance race. The music industry is definitely an endurance race. Fuck. All right, other ones.
There's some in the chat, Sean.
Oh, thank you. Drugs and outdoorsy stuff. Eat thrift shopping. All right, interesting. I actually want to run with thrift shopping for a while. Is thrift shopping a scholarly subject? No is the wrong answer. And so is yes. Is thrift shopping a scholarly subject?
If you make it one.
Yay! Or it depends. It depends on how. So I actually think you could make a very interesting portfolio on thrift shopping, at least in the sense of almost seems like a how, why, where. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think there's something in there. I also think there's reasons why we should thrift shop and not like, this reminds me of fashion and fast fashion. Recycled fashion. Drugs, outdoorsy stuff. Let's go with drugs for a while. Which? Why? How? With who? Tourism? I don't know if you're aware of psychedelic tourism, but you can go to Central America and do ayahuasca with shamans who will lead you through your trip. And as someone who has done ayahuasca in a ceremony with some priests in Boulder, of all places, about 15, 16 years ago now. I would not go to Central America to do ayahuasca in the jungle personally. But maybe, maybe that's, I don't even know how to spell it.
Doesn't that make you like violently ill too?
Yeah, I got pretty sick. I vomited a few times at the end. Crazy. In fact, I'll just tell you this. There it is. Ayahuasca. Crazy story. Ethnography is a study of culture. And kind of, it's one way of studying culture. When European ethnographers asked these tribes how they found ayahuasca, which is a combination of a vine and a bush, and they mix it together in the right proportions, and the vine introduces this new chemical into your brain that your brain naturally will just filter out. So if you just take the vine, nothing happens because your brain won't attach to receptors. But so you basically take a reception inhibitor and a substance of this other chemical substance. So you have to take them together in the right proportions for it to work. If you just take one, it doesn't work. If you just take the other, it doesn't work. And the ethnographers were like, well, how did you discover this? Which is the centerpiece of a lot of their religious observances. And the people were like, oh, well, the plants told us. And the European ethnographers were like, plants don't talk to people. How did you discover this? Was it just trial and error? And they're like, plants talk to people. And they're like, no, they don't. And they're like, yes, they do. Anyway, there's a fascinating history around that. The language of trees. Do you know trees talk to each other through their root systems? Chemicals, very interesting. Outdoorsy stuff. There you go. You could go in the mountains and do drugs and think about how trees do or do not talk with human beings. In fact, if you want to monitor how, I should just probably be quiet. But yeah, well, I'm going to be quiet now. Other things we're interested in.
I had said like cooking in the restaurant industry.
Awesome. Let's go with this one. What about it in particular?
I'm not sure where I would exactly take it
Great.
yet, but maybe where it's going to go in the future.
Awesome. I could ask with this one, what type of like pop-up kitchens? There's so many good Netflix shows on cooking now. And some of the best travel shows on Netflix are around cooking. Like I wonder, like media, which is another really interesting topic for anybody. Like let's say you're into ayahuasca, or if you're into psychedelics in general, you might say, well, how are psychedelics portrayed in the media? So we could think about in communication, broadly speaking, or rhetoric. That's going to earn you points with me, not like I'm going to choose one liking topic, one or the other. But if you're trying to get the most out of this course and you're trying to think more concretely about how rhetoric works, and you're also into cooking, you might think about like, how does that connect the rhetoric of cooking? You know what I mean? Now you have an interesting topic that seems like it's awesome. Marine life and pollution and social media. I'm really glad we got both of those on there. You can write this, the marine life and pollution falls in the advocacy campaign, how to make a change into the world. And so there's a lot of research on how to prevent that and what we can do to prevent that. How to not be a broke college student is interesting in terms of internships and other kinds of ways to like save, or other kinds of like I don't know about that one. I feel like you have to be a broke college student. Maybe not. I just posted a meme yesterday on the one, never mind. I'm not helping at all. Yeah, try dumpster diving. Actually, don't. How about this one? How to enjoy being a broke college student. Actually, maybe we could collaborate and think that how to cook as a broke college student. Rice and beans, baby. That's how I did it. And I got 2 graduate degrees. So I was a poor college student in a jam band for 12 years. Rice and beans, baby. Actually, I liked lentils and lentils and rice. Okay. Oh, amazing. I got an amazing research essay on food deserts 2 years ago, and I could not believe I didn't even know what a food desert was, which shows you how I want to say privileged, but that word has some other weird connotations to it. How fortunate or advantaged I have been to never even know what a food desert was. It's crazy. Which, if you don't know what a food desert is, those areas in the United States or areas anywhere where you can't get good food without traveling a far distance to get it. So the only food available to you is what Michael Pollan calls food-like substances, a highly processed food. I am very interested in food and diets, and particularly how that connects to agricultural policy in the US. It's a huge, long-term, long-standing interest of mine. Vegetarianism versus localvorism, that kind of thing. Okay, well, I feel like this was completely unhelpful unless you now are thinking about going to South America to do ayahuasca, which is a terrible takeaway from this conversation. Does anybody have any other ideas, or does that kind of help understand what I'm hoping that you would get out of this? Okay, good. Ideally, what you're wanting is something that you're actually interested in researching. And let's go back to like sci-fi and fantasy. You might be interested in sci-fi and fantasy, but don't know how to like turn that into a research topic. That should be your first question. How can I turn my interest in sci-fi and fantasy into a college level research paper? Type that into, yeah, thanks, Jenny. Type that into Google. You should look up dangers of shamans in South America. I don't know, actually. That leads me to my next point. You're going to be going on the internet to find information. And so let's move into the next topic, which is this. Question: how much can you trust the information on the internet? Why not much? Because the information provided is biased. Yes, because oftentimes the information is biased. There's another reason why you can't trust information on the internet. Yes, Jenny nailed it. I didn't think anybody would get this. Because also, we are biased. And that we have a hard time differentiating between, and this is the sense of, do we know what confirmation bias is? If we don't, it's a high time we learn. What is confirmation bias?
You look for viewpoints that support your own.
Going to South America and doing ayahuasca would be a great idea. Hey, look, here's the travel agency that provides everything I'm looking for. We look for views that support our own ideas. And what's the other reverse side of that? It's not only that we look for, but we
We base our opinion off things we agree with.
yes, and there's what's the flip side of that? So we look for views that support our ideas, and we
interpret information in a way that supports our ideas.
yes. And so I was looking, we reject views, information. Whoops. I'm actually going to make this about information. We look for and find info that supports our ideas. We reject views and information that challenge our ideas. So one of the ways we can get over confirmation bias is by actively looking for what would disprove our ideas. We do this probably most often when we're buying something. So we might really want to buy something, and it's important probably to look at why we shouldn't buy that thing as well, even if we really want to. In fact, the more we want this thing, the more we should look into why we shouldn't buy it. Good. Basically, has anybody seen critical information literacy, or can we define what that is? Basically, the ability to read and process information. So information literacy is about understanding whether or not information is good or not. Critical information literacy is the ability to read and process the power dynamics inside of information. So let's review from CO 150. What is the most reliable source we can get on the internet? Like if you had these in your research paper, your college instructors would go, good job, very reliable. So the question is, what's the most reliable information on the internet?
Research papers.
Boom, that's it. Academic, scholarly journals. Why is this the most reliable information? What's the process that it goes through before it gets published?
They're reviewed by professionals in the field. And it takes a long time.
Yes. And why do people publish in peer-reviewed journals? Are they trying to make money off of their articles? They're trying to further their own career as tenured professors that need to publish.
Well, for their knowledge in that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Knowledge. That's right. So, yeah, they're trying to further knowledge for sure. They're interested in truth. They're interested in science. They're interested in understanding the world. They're also interested in promoting their careers. Are they trying to make money off of you? No. Are they trying to sell you advertisements? No. Good. So what are some other, like maybe that is like, you're right, that's the gold star. What is the next most reliable information on the internet? By the way, you use Academic Search Premier or Google Scholar to get this stuff. Government websites typically have reliable information unless, actually I just saw a post on how instructors should be aware of government censorship of information teaching online. And that, like, in my case, if I have students that are in China and students that are in America and students that are in Ukraine, the information they're able to get is going to be different based on the contracts Google has signed with them. those governments. Also, as the social dilemma points out, the results you get on Google may vary based on your search history, which is troubling. So government websites are a source, educational sites are another source. So this is .gov and .edu. How about organizations.org? Can I trust them?
Not always. It depends on who they are and what they're promoting.
Yes. So then it kind of depends on their bias and understanding, right? So how about this one? EWG.org. Is anyone familiar with EWG? The Environmental Working Group? We could look at this and see what they're about. Know your environment, protect your health. About us, to empower people to live healthier lives in a healthier environment. With breakthrough research and education, we drive consumer choices. They want us to ban glyphosate. Nonprofit, nonpartisan, dedicated to protecting human health and the environment. So there's their bias right there. It looks like they're selling stuff. No, they're just selling their own stuff. Oh, pesticides in produce, healthy cleaning. Yeah, interesting. I really like this site. Just side note. Donate now. They want my money. Good. No, that's not what we want. And then news organizations. .coms. Notice that do news media sources, are they trying to sell you things? Maybe sometimes, I don't know. They do sell advertising. I really like the Corporation documentary on Netflix. I think it's actually on YouTube. You can find the whole thing. They put it up on YouTube. I would, if you wanted a higher level understanding of how information can be filtered through networks of, it's really good. A little radical, but I think really good. Whoops. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to, from the readings today, what I wanted us to do is there are ways to basically, I'm just going to copy and paste this from earlier. Here's what we can do for critical information literacy. How can we practice this? If critical information literacy is our ability to read and process information, understand where it comes from and whether we can trust it, basically how the information got to us. They encourage, the first thing that the text encourages is to read laterally. Stanford did a famous experiment where they asked college students and professional fact checkers to identify whether or not they could trust information on a website. Professional fact checkers, the first thing they did was leave the website that they were supposed to be checking, where students stayed on the website. So if I was on EWG, for example, I'm trying to figure out whether or not I can trust them. I could stay a long time on this source to try to figure out if I can trust them. And it's going to be hard to tell because they're giving me all the information they want me to see. So I could read laterally and go about ewg.org. Can I trust them? I'm intentionally notice I'm getting EWG, 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 EWG. That's not what I want, because they're going to tell me, here's one, the case against EWG. Boom, from a different source. That's what I want. And I'm going to do that 3 or 4 times to just get a sense of whether or not I should trust any source of information. So that's an example of reading laterally. Another one is that we can do is follow information upstream, that they say. So basically you find the original source of the information and question it, understand your own confirmation biases. We went over this. And then you also can understand the incentives or power relations buried inside information. So information costs money to produce. And you're either funded through universities in a peer-reviewed sense, or you're making money off of people in some other way. So I do want us to practice this, and I hope if you find any information as we go through the rest of the semester that you wonder about and you can't find out whether or not you should trust it or not, flag that, make a note of it, and bring it into class so we can talk about it. Any questions or comments on critical information literacy? Any questions or comments about your research topics?
We have class on Friday.
We do not.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, we will not have class. I think we're just shifting to a Monday, Wednesday model and just giving you time on Friday to do extra reading. Office hours are on Friday, though. If you want to meet in my office, let's see. Has anybody signed up? I've got 2 longer meeting with a colleague, and yeah, so it's pretty sad in there. As we move forward, I enjoy meeting with students in my office in general, especially if you want to talk about non-CO 300 stuff. That's really kind of where a lot of the education I got in college was through talking with instructors about other stuff. So I like doing that. Any other questions? Good luck. You do not need to stick with your topic if you feel like you want to change. Thank you, McKenna.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, see y'all. Good luck. Have fun out there in the world of information.